Hey, this is Matt with Alpha Analyst. In this video, we're going to cover how you can thrive in an open office environment as cubicles become a thing of the past. So over here in this video, you can see an example of cubicles where there are big wall partitions in between each of the desks. This is becoming a thing of the past. A lot of companies are now moving towards an open office environment. So here you can see an example of an open office environment where there are relatively few partitions in between the different desks. So right now, approximately 2/3 of all offices have become an open office with an open concept floor plan. So this is relatively common around the world. So here are some reasons for the shift. One of them is cost savings for employers. So obviously, if you have an open office type of environment, it typically takes a lot less space per employee. And because the employees have a lot less space, you can have a lot less real estate to be able to run your business. So companies can save by not having to buy offices that are quite as large as they otherwise would if they gave employees cubicles. Another factor is natural light. So obviously you have more natural light that can reach the employees if you have an open office environment. Another factor is increased collaboration. So the more that you have an open office environment, the easier it is for employees to interact with one another and have better collaboration. However, as with a lot of things in life, when you have a change, sometimes there are also negatives as well as positives. So here are some disadvantages of the open office type of concept. One of them is a lack of privacy. So because of the lack of those partitions in the walls, you don't really have quite as much private space. So if you're doing something on your computer, there's a good chance that a dozen, or maybe even more people can see you do that as you're doing something on your computer. Another factor is increased noise and distractions. So because those partitions are gone, there's a good chance that you're able to hear a lot of your coworkers' conversations that otherwise you may have not heard previously because of those partitions. And another factor is the frequency of interruptions. So because there are fewer physical barriers, it becomes a lot easier to see your coworkers and to think to go up to them and talk to them and ask them some questions. So a final factor is smells that float around the office. So when it's lunchtime and people go to get their lunch, for example, if the person next to you is having a certain type of food that has a strong smell, there's a better chance that that will go over and float towards your desk as you're trying to get some work done. So let's talk about some expectations versus reality when it comes to the office floor plan. So it's true that sometimes people set up an open office environment thinking that it will lead to better collaboration and interaction among the employees, whereas in reality, that additional collaboration often leads to more talking among the employees. And when you have fewer noise barriers, that can lead to more distractions. And also this can lead to a drop in employee productivity. So there are differing opinions on which office environment is best. Some people, including many extroverts, they love open office environments. And you could even say that the nature of the business really has a big impact on who may like or not like an open office environment. For example, if you're an advertising agency, it might be a very great idea to have an open office environment. Whereas on the other hand, if you are accountants, it might not be the best idea if you need to be able to have quiet space to be able to do your work. So while some people love the open office concept, there are others that are less enthusiastic about this concept. So here are some quick hacks that you can use to make the most of an open office environment. One of the most practical is to use headphones. Headphones can be great at helping you drown out some distracting noises. So as other people around you are talking and doing various activities, if you have headphones on, it can make it much easier for you to concentrate. Another side factor, another benefit of this is that it might reduce the likelihood that people will come over and interrupt you if you have your headphones on. And headphones are simply one solution. You also could use, earplugs or other such things that simply, drown out the noise. And here's a pair of headphones that I've found that I like a lot. So this is offered by Bose. They're relatively expensive, but they're noise canceling headphones. And what I like about them is they're earbuds as compared to a big bulky headphone type set. The good news is that there are many other options out there that are much, much cheaper that cost a small fraction of this price. Another option as far as hacks to make the most out of an open office environment is to use a conference room if you need one. So sometimes working at your desk just won't work because even aside from noise, sometimes you also have employees, physically walking around the office, which can be a distraction. So if you're working on something that's either highly confidential or something that really requires a great deal of concentration, it can be a good idea to use an open conference room at your company if you need to really focus on something. And another hack is to consider working from home. So this is something that is offered at some employers, but not others. And it really depends upon your corporate culture and the way things are. But if it is a benefit that's offered at your company, I would highly encourage you to look into it. And sometimes as companies move towards an open office environment, they do become more receptive to work from home type of activities, whereas previously they weren't. So a benefit of going to an open office environment could be that your company is more receptive to working from home. If you like this video, I think you would love the Financial Analysis Kit. It contains a video that goes over our top 10 favorite tricks in Microsoft Excel. It also contains 3 graphs in Excel that you can download, and it also has videos that go over how you can customize these graphs to meet your own personal needs. And finally, the kit contains a report on the one word that you can tell your boss that can supercharge your career. So how can you obtain your kit? Just go to aanalyst.com/kit, and you can type in your email address and access the kit and start using it today.